Boutros Ghali.
A moment of remembrance for the man who led the United Nations through some of its most difficult times. Members of the UN Security Council stood in silence to pay tribute to Boutros Ghali, the 6th Secretary-General, who's died at the age of 93. The Egyptian took office when the international community perhaps seemed more united than at any time since the creation of the UN. But the end of the Cold War also brought fresh conflict. Within 4 months of Boutros starting the job, war broke out in the Balkans. The UN's initial response, a peacekeeping mission to Bosnia and Croatia called UNPROFOR, was widely criticised and did little to stop the bloodshed. As that conflict was still raging, a genocide on another continent. The UN and its small peacekeeping force in Rwanda, unable to stop one of the world's worst atrocities in modern history, the death of hundreds of thousands of people in a matter of weeks.
Very often,
as Secretary-General, Boutros blames some of the failings on the system, and in more recent years, he continued to call for reform. This interview with Al Jazeera in 2009.
We need the drastic change. The reform will not be able to, a little reform will not be able to cope with the new situation. We are living a new situation which is completely different than the situation which was existing in 1945.
When Boutros left the top job at the UN, he was a man with unfinished business. He'd wanted a second term, but after 5 years, he'd lost favour with the then US President Bill Clinton and his ambassador to the UN, Madeleine Albright. It was decided he should be passed over for a man seen as younger and more dynamic, Kofi Annan. James Bays, Al Jazeera.